Hi there, welcome to dotnetFlix. So today we've got Marco Mansi in the house. Hi Marco.
Good morning. Hi.
So what are we going to do today?
Today we are going to talk of one of the oldest services in Azure, Azure Batch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
cool.
And I would like to see how to show you how it evolved during the years, and also with the power of Docker.
Okay.
How you can make it faster and even easier to use it, to run on a lot of virtual machines, your stuff, to create nice applications.
Okay, so this is for really large workloads, right?
This is for huge workloads.
Cool.
Starting small and for really huge batches indeed, yes.
Cool, awesome. Well, let's dive right in.
Smack your batch up.
Yes, make your batch up indeed, yes.
Nice title.
Now, where I want to begin is actually from a problem I was working with around 1 year ago. One of the biggest banking company in the Netherlands. And they came to me. I was working in the Cloud Competence Center there, and one guy came to me, and one of my duties was to help DevOps teams to embrace the cloud, the Azure cloud. And one of the guys came to me and he said, Marco, I have a problem. I have slow performance. My application is slow.
Well, that's no good.
Yeah, that's no good. I said, okay. But he told me directly, but I have the solution for you, Marco.
Please implement that for me.
Please, yeah, okay, I was really interested. Okay, nice. What do you know about the Azure cloud? No, not that much, but I have anyway the solution. And the solution was, we need a bigger machine.
Much bigger.
Much bigger.
Scale it up.
And we were talking really about the biggest, they were doing IaaS, infrastructure as a service, so VMs. And they told me, we need the biggest machine in Azure that you can give us. Okay.
Sounds like the most expensive machine.
Yeah, indeed. It, at that time was, I don't remember very well, but it was the H16 of the F16. I don't know, it was 3,000–4,000 euro a month at least. And okay, I gave it to him. I provisioned one machine for him. And but just 2 days later, he came to me and said, Marco,
it's not enough.
The cloud is bad. It's not working. The Azure cloud is not working for me.
Oh man.
I say, okay, now this is a challenge for me. Come and just tell me what's all the problem about. What's your application doing? Now, it's actually not a really application. It's more a batch application. Okay, a batch. Okay, what it's doing is calculating mortgages. And the application is not written by us, that department, but another department. So we are not in control of the software. And it's written in Python. But actually we saw that there was a slightly performance improvement with the biggest machine. But the batch calculation was running 33 hours. And now it's running 30 hours. Okay.
It's better.
Yeah, we're getting somewhere. Yeah, we're getting somewhere. But that was already the limit of the VMs. Now, okay, and I asked him, okay, are you able to make changes in the code? But because it was obviously, I'm also a developer, that the code was not really well written. Let's say concurrent, parallel, and so on, multi-threaded. And he told me, no, it's from another company, and yes, we can make some changes, but it will take months, and it's not possible. Okay, then I told him, okay, maybe we should now really use cloud native stuff. Not working on the IaaS, on the infrastructure as a service, but going PaaS, on the platform service.
Yes.
And there it came, the batch service. It was clear to me that they needed something like batch, Azure Batch, because they needed something that was running for some hours, minutes sometimes, but in that case some hours, and then after that finished, calculation done, and then move over.
Right.
So now what's all about Batch, Azure Batch? What it says here also on the slides, it's a cloud scale job scheduling, and actually it's everything about computing power. VMs, but not one, not two, a bunch of VMs. And you can choose also between Linux, Windows, and now actually also Docker to spin up VMs with Docker in it.
Those Docker images, can that both be Linux or Windows, or not?
At the moment, yes, you can, but the images that are available at the moment are Linux images. But actually, it's because they are VMs, you can provision your own images, and then you can spin up with Docker containers, with Windows containers, obviously. So you are actually also fully in control.
Yeah. Cool.
As I told you, it's all about VMs. Not one,
A lot of VMs.
but really a bunch of VMs. A lot.
And it's all about, breaking up your entire workload and then dividing it over all these machines to make sure that you can run
Correctly.
Yeah.
And that was also the change I had to make. I told that guy to tell the other company to make it possible that he can run in parallel, scaling out.
Scaling out, right.
And it runs on top of skill sets because you want to manage all of them all together.
Cool.
The batch service itself, it consists about three components. You have a storage account, and then you have a pool, and a pool is just a scale set of machines. And the pools can spin up a lot of jobs, and a lot of jobs may have one or more tasks.
Yeah.
And then you just choose the right sites for the VM for getting the right power. It's just configuration at some point, and then you give them the executables you want to run, and it does the job.
Cool.
How works the workflow? How it goes? We create first a pool. You may have in a batch account one or multiple pools because maybe you need some kind of virtual machines for some purposes, another pool with another taste of virtual machines for other purposes.
Right.
Anyway, you have a pool.
Yep.
You provision the storage account. The storage account is where your data will be saved eventually, but you can also choose to save the data externally somewhere else, in Cosmos DB, in table storage, or so whatever. You're fully in control, obviously. You run the job, you provision the job in a way that you provide the executables needed for the job to run. And the tasks eventually may read from the storage account input files, environment variables, and so on, just to do their stuff. And they will write back the results, and the job is done.
And are these all statically sized pools, or do they also scale elastically when
that is
you
possible?
have more
Yes,
load on the system?
you are fully in control about also the way how to scale out mostly, and also scale up. But scale up is obviously a re-provisioning of the pool itself. But scaling out is always possible, and you can also make alerting and triggering for that. That you, if some load, if some amount of memory is used, you have to scale out like this. Yes.
Nice.
Now, at some point, then you have the results, and the job is done actually.
Nice.
Now, last years, containers are raising up and more, and also Azure Batch was not the last one to use that. Now you can use also actually combine the power of containers in Azure Batch.
Cool. Nice.
And just here a slide is not about containers, but just a slide about the difference between a container and a virtual machines. Actually, the bottom line is you don't have the overhead of a guest OS, with an hypervisor there that you do to manage. So they are more lightweight and faster to spin up. There's more about that, but bottom line, that's the most big difference.
And you can reach more density on the VMs that are beneath them. So
Indeed, you can run more concurrent things because it's more small. The footprint is more smaller.
Nice.
When I was starting to use Azure Batch, at that time I was not really into the Docker world, but at some point I saw something like Batch Shipyard. What is that Batch Shipyard? Now, it was something that was really perfect for the purpose that I needed at the moment, because I asked the team with the problem to Dockerize everything. And Batch Shipyard is actually a kind of open source utility written on top of the Azure Batch APIs. And in a declarative way, you can say what kind of pools you want, what jobs do you want, and it's provisioning for you the machine with Docker in it. So you just say, okay, I want this virtual machines with these images on that, and it will spin up. It will install Docker for you if it is not available there, and then you just say, okay, just run this image for me, and with these jobs, with this task, this amount of memory, and it will do the job for you in a declarative way.
Nice.
Yeah, it was for me really a nice way to make things faster and also more easier to use for people which were not comfortable with Azure Batch itself. Because Azure Batch, it's well documented and all about everything all about APIs. But yeah, you know, it's not always nice to work with REST APIs or with RM templates. And
there's a learning curve there. This can help you to get up to speed really fast.
Indeed.
Cool.
How does it work with Batch Shipyard? You have batch recipes. As I told you, it's built on top of Python, and actually the configuration files are YAML configuration files. Of course, yes. Yeah. And there are a combination of YAML files. There are multiple YAML files to work with. I will show you later, and that's what's called a recipe. And you just provision a recipe. And Azure Batch, with the help of Shipyard, will do the job for you.
Cool. Sounds good.
Now, how it looks like, so a recipe. Let's start with one of the variations. This is the pool recipe. It's how you declare here what kind of Azure VM you want. Actually, the pool.
Yep.
No, you say here I want a VM with Ubuntu server.
Yep.
And yes, and you provision a lot of stuff. You can, mostly one of the nice things is max task per node. You're just telling now on this pool you are able to run one executable at a time.
Yep.
But you can also it's up to the application, because that's where the magic, where your intelligence you should use your intelligence.
Yep.
Yeah, how many tasks should I use per VM, and it's also up to the application that you are that you want to run.
So if you want to run more on a single node, then the application is also must be able to do that. Must be able to handle multiple nodes.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Indeed. Then you have the jobs. Now, and actually you are telling. This looks like really a bit of a Docker file, and in this case, and you are just telling here. Now, this is the image that you have to spin it up for me. You can put some environment variables, and you then can control all the chaining and about the job itself. There is more. This is really the easy variation of our job YAML file. You can control a lot more, really everything in detail. But this is bottom line how it works.
Yep, the getting started.
Yeah, the getting started. Indeed. Obviously, you need a Docker file for create the image that you want to spin up. But that's something really related to Docker itself. So you need a bit of knowledge about Docker. Also not, because if you already have an image, a Docker image that you want to spin up, then you don't need the Docker file. But anyway, you have to be a bit comfortable with the Docker environment.
You need to be able to Dockerize your application.
Yes.
But then if you are able to do that, then it's all happy the peppy. You go into the
Correct.
batch service. Cool.
Yes, indeed. Now, it's open source, Batch Shipyard. It's available on the GitHub, and there are a lot of documentation. There is a lot of documentation on top of Shipyard, and there are also recipes ready to use where you can just to get you started.
Oh, nice.
Get started with. So it's just up to you. Go to the Shipyard website, read the documentation, and maybe even better, start just to spin up some recipe.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah, maybe I think it's a time for a demo.
Yeah, let's do just that.
Yeah. Now I will switch now over to my Azure subscription. I already provisioned a dotnetFlix batch account in this case. This is just an account. At the moment we are not paying anything at all because there is no pool provision in there. There is actually no virtual machines in there. So you may have as many accounts you want, but we will pay only at the moment that virtual machines are provisioned and running, obviously.
Yeah, right.
Okay. What I want to do now is to show with the power of Azure Batch and Batch Shipyard how you can read text files and those text files will be converted in audio files.
Okay.
Cool.
And this is with the power of Azure Batch. Obviously, you can do it with millions of books or millions of text files concurrently. Now we are using one pool and one batch account, but the theory, it says it all. You can do it with scalable.
Right. And you're using the images that we just saw in the slides, that text to OGG.
Yes, indeed. Okay. That's what I will do.
Cool.
Now, what I will do everything from the Cloud Shell.
Yep. We all love, of course.
We all love, indeed. So the first step I will do is creating just a directory. Locally, I will clone some files, some repo. And now I will clone this repo.
So this is the repository of our Dutch Azure meetup.
Yes. Yeah.
So the viewers can do this themselves also, right?
Everything is open source. They can do it on their own if they want, and indeed it's hosted now on our Azure Azure meetup. Indeed, yes.
We'll put the link in the show notes.
Yeah. Yeah. Now it's not that big. Now let's see. Maybe it's also nice to show you what we can do now with the Bash itself. We have Visual Studio code from the Bash itself. And now we can also edit everything from here. Yeah. Switching back. And what I want to do now, I've downloaded actually a recipe. There is here the recipe with some config files. Yep. And these are the ones which I need to prepare to configure to work with Azure Batch, with my account.
So these are the Shipyard configuration files?
Yes, okay. Indeed. These are the Shipyard files. So I have to go now to the dotnetFlix batch account, and I have to configure the keys now. I need a key, because Azure Batch Shipyard needs to know the credential to connect with the right account.
Yeah, makes sense, because that's to create pools and machines
and
stuff like that.
Yes. Now I copy also the URL. Then I need the storage account. It's already provisioned also before on that before we started with the demo. And I need the key. Obviously, what I'm now doing manually, you can do it automatically by provisioning using our template CLI and so on.
Yeah.
Now, the credentials are done. Yes, storage account name. Yes, storage account key. Okay, now I have the storage account connection string in another file, because this is what the runtimes needs to know from the application I will run inside.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
The connection string. Oh yes, I have to go to the account itself. The connection string, and here
should be in the jobs. Yes.
Yes, indeed. Actually, the job is telling now Azure Batch. Here, in this case, run this image, and the binaries inside this image needs this environment variable to connect to the right. Yeah.
So the application has been built to use an environment variable to get to the storage account.
Very well, indeed. Yeah. Yes, that's the clue. The application itself needs also to create some an Azure share, because the files should reside in the storage account. Yep. And now we are going to create the share in the same storage account. Yeah. Now already created. We can also switch to it, just to show you, because here it is.
This is the Storage Explorer, right?
This is the Storage Explorer, indeed. A really nice tool to navigate through your stuff. Yeah. And
And this is something that you also have to do when you start a batch. You need to make sure that the data that is input for your batch process is already in storage.
Yeah.
So it can read it from the storage account.
Yes. Now this should be there. Hey, did I something wrong? Let's say. Oh, I copy paste the wrong stuff. Obviously, I first have to configure the CLI to tell what connection to use to create a share.
Yes, makes sense.
That was my stupid mistake. So I am setting now this environment variable in the CLI.
Yeah.
And now I can switch to the real share creation. And now we should be able to see it here.
Yes.
Refresh, and there it is.
Yeah.
Now this is also a way to show how to do actually something from code. Once this is done, I have to upload the text files that will be read by the Docker container. Oh, yes, it's okay. And you can see it actually there. Here are the files, the chapters. This will be then
The input. Yeah.
input for then the voice conversion.
I see you're using some bestsellers here. So
Yes, indeed. Now I will then upload also by code the files to the share. And we should be able also to see them. We refresh it. There they are.
Yep.
And now I'm switching now to the configuration directory, the recipe directory for Azure Shipyard.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. There I am. And it's also important to tell that Shipyard is by default installed in the Cloud Shell.
Okay.
That's why I could now start
nice.
Shipyard out of the box without installing anything.
Yeah, that was a question I asked.
Yeah. Normally you should install Shipyard on your client machine, but the Cloud Shell is also nice. It's already provisioned with that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I don't have to do anything at all.
That's why we love it.
Indeed. And what I will do now is the first command is just to create the pool. Okay. Now I'm telling Shipyard, take the recipe, read the pool file and create it for me.
Yep.
And this is actually provisioning the VMs at the moment.
Right.
Now it will take some minutes.
And this is idempotent, so can I run this over and over again?
Yes.
And it will, okay,
Yes.
cool.
Yes, it is. And now it's just starting. Now in the meanwhile, I can show you some nice tooling you can use with Shipyard. And not only with Shipyard, I mean with Azure Batch, which is Batch Explorer.
Okay.
We have Storage Explorer, now we have also a Batch Explorer.
Nice.
And this Batch Explorer is actually just a UI that you can use to monitor and to to manage all your batch accounts and the pools and so on. It's also on GitHub, open source. You can download it, you can use it where you want. And in this case, we see that I have in my Azure subscription one Azure Batch account, dotnetFlix Azure Batch account, is connected to a storage account, dotnetFlix in this case. And I'm creating now a pool of machines. Now I should be able now to see something happening. And indeed, I see here, I have this pool is created, it's batch left 0 of 1, I mean. There are 0 machines and we are going to spin up 2 machines. In this case.
That's what you specified in the config file.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Now, and you will see here also there's a nice UI for that. It's now just provisioning. And at some point, what I want to have is to have the machines idle.
Idle, yeah. So they don't need to be running because you have no workload.
No, at the moment no. They are just waiting for jobs.
Yep.
The next step we will obviously do later after the provision is done to start up the computing power with the job itself. Switching back to the demo, or to the, yes, indeed, the Batch Explorer. yes, what I want to talk about is in the meanwhile is also something now not really that new anymore, but 1.5 years ago it was. It's low priority VMs.
Okay.
It's a way to save money, because you can reuse actually virtual machines from someone else. They will be picked up for you, reprovisioned with your stuff, and they will cost a lot less money than provisioning dedicated VMs.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then you are actually more flexible with the power of Azure, and together with saving the money. And the nice where you should use that. Now, let's say deployment of the development and testing. It's not important how much machines or how heavy they are. You just want a bunch of machines.
If you want to check if functionally everything works, but you're not particularly picky about performance, then you could use this for testing.
Indeed.
Nice.
Now, if maybe at some point you need more capacity and you want to spin up in together with saving money, more machines, and also if you need more to save time in this case, because you need more power. And it's a nice way to use the Azure, the flexibility of the cloud, the Azure cloud.
Nice.
Talking about the costs, actually what you're paying for is for a VM, and you will see it here. This is the normal price for a VM, and on the right side you can see also the difference between the prices.
Yeah, that's significant.
That's significant. Yeah, significant. And then you can see that, but actually you are paying for computing power for VMs. There's nothing more, nothing less to talk about the cost. You choose the right machine and you pay for it.
Yeah, and storage, of course. But
and storage, and
the
computing is the big, indeed. About logging and monitoring, Azure Batch itself already provides metrics, performance counters, how many pools are created, how many low priority machines are you using, the task, and so on. And everything will be monitored, saved in Azure Monitor, so you can use that to monitor your application runtime and also your infrastructure, your Azure Batch infrastructure. You have also diagnostic logs, which you can use, and they will be spinned up for every job you run. And obviously, maybe a best practice at some point, if you are able to write your own application in Docker, then use application insights to save the application logging. And
so you can see what's going on within your application.
And that's something you would have to do yourself, right, in your own code.
Yes, indeed. That is something inside your code you're running.
Makes sense.
There was also, I have to say, there was Azure Batch Artificial Intelligence, AI, and but now it's deprecated.
Okay.
Gone. I think that it was starting since March or April, of this year. It's deprecated now because now you should use machine learning services. So let's see if now the machines are ready. Now we can use always the Batch Explorer to. Now we see now they are changing because now they are running some startup task. When you provision the machines, you are actually starting up an image, and which I specified in the pool config file. But you can also specify to run some preparation scripts.
Okay.
And
so you can install some more software, stuff like that.
Yes. And then we see now one node is already done. Yes, and probably soon the second one will be ready to pick up stuff. But actually now I'm ready to run my job.
Cool.
So you will see it also the feedback from the CLI, and indeed now it's ready.
The other one is ready.
So switching back, we see both ready to be used.
Nice.
Now we will run now the last step, and actually telling Batch Shipyard, run this job, which is actually saying run this image. Now let's do that. I submitted the job. And now if we switch back to the Batch Explorer, we see that there is one node doing it.
Yep.
It can be thousands of them, 100 and so on, obviously.
Of course.
We can see the job is active, it's running.
Yep.
And the nice stuff is here, we can see actually zoom in the machine itself, and we can see what's happening here.
Nice.
This now the logging is written now to the standard output, but you could use application insights to do the same.
Yep.
And there is, you can see if there are some errors. In this case, there are not.
Yep.
But
and for old school developers, this is a spinner being rendered on the console.
yeah, yes.
So if you recognize that, you know you're old.
Yeah. I don't know that.
Keep telling yourself that.
Now the job is will take I don't think no more than 1 minute. I think. And we should also able to see on the storage account, if we go now to the storage account, and we go up, here we see the OGG files.
The output, yeah.
The output. So that's in the flow that I showed you in the presentation. Input files from the storage account and output files to the storage account.
Nice.
Let's see if it's ready. It's taking a bit more time. Maybe I have to spin up a heavier machine next time, but anyway, yeah, it's completed.
Okay.
No, it took 1 minute and 7 seconds.
Yeah.
Now it's ready, everything is green, it means it's okay. And
No
now
errors.
the pool is waiting for extra jobs. You are paying now money, that's important because the machines are running, but you can provision them and you can recreate them when you want, if needed. Now, let's say if it worked, I will download this file. Yes, I want. It's wait a moment. Do I have? Yeah. It's a new machine. My bad. Oh, sorry.
You cannot open OGG files. Yeah.
Okay, now then you have to believe my words, but this is an OGG file, and it will show you will read the text. Maybe we can eventually install a VLC, but believe me that the conversion has to be done. Now, in this case, you can imagine that if you are a big company which is just doing this job, you can put thousands of text files,
nice.
and in just few days you can convert them everything in text, in audio text.
Nice.
And a lot more cheaply than that big VM you started with
Yes,
at the beginning,
yes.
right?
You spin it up when you need them, and then the job is done. You delete them, and they are gone, and that you just pay what you use.
Yeah, cool.
Going back to the slides. Yeah, this is one of the use case you can use. Making automating everything. You can read sensor data and then with sensor data gather all the information all together and maybe make some artificial intelligence on top of that with calculation or your stuff. And with the power of Azure of Batch Shipyard, you can Dockerize everything and automate also that stuff. Then a team of developers, or maybe even not the developers, just the business consultants, just need to make a recipe, use the right Docker image, and everything can be automated.
You will have a library of Docker images that can run jobs, and you can just provision them on top of the batch service.
Yes, indeed.
Cool.
That's me.
Yes.
That was what I want to show you. I hope that you are impressed as I was the time when I was starting with Azure Batch.
Yeah, cool.
So Dockerize and batch everything.
Yes, all the things. Thanks so much, Marco.
So,
you're welcome.
Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and that you can do this all yourself. Like Marco said, we will put up some links in the show notes. So get the code, and then you can actually listen to the files if you have a player for that. Thanks so much, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.